over the last 8 years, Chris, John, and I have shared a lot of experiences. In that afternoon when Chris said, "I'm sorry, I've got to break away, there's a squirrel in the house," John and I just kind of shared glances at each other like, "Oh yeah, sure, what?" And, no, seriously, we got a squirrel running around, and Leslie's cornered it, and we got to go find this thing. So he said, "Have you ever caught a squirrel in the house?" I said, No, we've got all these squirrels and we've caught out in the yard behind us, and we get the trap, you get a little cracker, you put all the peanut butter on it and nuts on it, the squirrels just love that sound. And the trap closes, you go and release them. He said, "Well, listen in the house." I said, "Well, okay, well, maybe you kind of get a little tunnel with, you usher this squirrel out and entice him with that cracker." He goes, "I think I'm going to get a net." And I said, "Okay." So he leaves, and John and I are just laughing as we sit there. One of the greatest things about our partnership and our opportunity here at Ambit, partnerships are tough. When you look at just how complex and how difficult partnerships can be, those that last are really rare. And for 8 years now, John, Chris, and I have sat right next to each other about the width of this stage. Every day, we come in and we're that close to one another, and we share experience about what's going on and what we're going to do about Ambit every day. And so it's always great when we have a little levity in the office. And here we're fighting the polar vortex, and Chris is running off to fight a little squirrel running around his house. So off he goes. We're waiting to hear. We send words of encouragement. We're waiting to hear back from him. And we start to get some texts coming to us a little bit later. And it was, exactly what you saw this picture, and in the back, Chris is, what you didn't see, if you look closely in the mirror, he's cradling this squirrel like a little baby. I mean, it's right in his arms when he's there, and Leslie's taking the picture behind it. And he sent it with the text, "Chambless 1, squirrel 0. And the follow-up text just a little bit after that, when John said, "Hey, Chris, great job, we're proud of you," it was, "He never stood a chance." It's always great to be humble when you're going up against a little squirrel. And you got to remember, when John is from upstate New York, and he had never been camping in Texas, and Chris said, "Hey, come on, we're going to go camping." It was right about this time of the year. They're going to go out to the Brazos and spend a couple of nights out while going out on a canoe. And those of you who were here long ago probably heard the story. First day out, they break camp, they put the canoe out there, they get their tent. John lays out all of his clothes on the cot, and all of a sudden clouds start forming up above them. It gets dark, a little rain comes down, and it sounds like a locomotive. What do they see when they're looking up the Brazos but a twister coming right down at them? Just coming right at them, and all of a sudden the hail starts going, the trees start flying. John's behind the tree, looks at Chris and goes, "What do we do now?" I don't know. They couldn't make a run for anything because the hail was the size of softballs coming at them. And they all survived. And I'm on my phone. I get into the house at that point in time, and I'm looking, and the TV's on, and it is just terrible. It's, red is bad. Well, the whole screen of West Texas was bad. It was red, and I looked at the thing and said, "I think that's where John and Chris are right now." So I pull out my cell phone, I start calling them, but of course there's no answer. There's not even any cell service out where they are. And just had to wait. The next day when they finally got back to, or 2 days later, when they finally got back to civilization, they each had like half a dozen calls from me. "Are you okay? Where are you? What's going on?" That was our whole company. You didn't realize the company was there. It was there. It was out there on the Brazos River. It could have been a tornado or hail. Anything could have happened. Fortunately, they were all okay. When you look at the success of any company, and Ambit has had its share of it, ultimately it all comes down to the people. It comes down to the people that you've been able to attract and retain. And we've had some people come in and look at Ambit and just, they're dazzled by what they've seen about what we've been able to accomplish. And in fact, the Direct Selling News is having a meeting coming up in 2 weeks. And they asked Chris to speak last year, and this year they asked me to speak about the path to $1 billion. What is it about Ambit that made Ambit special, made Ambit different? And as I've begun to think about what I'm going to say, ultimately the very first thing has to be the people. And it started off with finding people like Chris and John. We went after Lori 5 years ago, or 8 years ago, to be our CFO. And, at that time, we had the 2 customers that Joey was talking about. It was a little premature to get into the business. And Lori said, I like you guys, but this is way too early for me. But it took us about 5 years, and we finally brought her in. But when you look at what we've been able to accomplish in the back office, it's all because of the people that we have. And it's not just that they're smart. It's not that they have a great attitude. It's not that they're capable of, working with others and teaching others. It's not just their value system. It's the combination of all of that. And the fact that from the very beginning, we've been trying to attract and retain the very best people we possibly could find, knowing that that cumulative and collective knowledge is what separates you from everybody else in the industry. And when we stepped into this business, we knew we didn't want to be like everybody else, so we purposely avoided everybody from the energy industry. Kind of seems crazy. Nobody's ever done it before, so don't hire anybody from the industry. But we decided to come in here with a completely novel approach. We had come out of telecom, and we had seen that those companies that really prospered in telecommunications were those companies with great back offices and great systems. But nobody in the electricity industry in Texas at that time was looking at it that way. It was all about how fast can we go out and get customers? How fast can we bring them in, and we'll figure out how to handle it later on. And we thought that was completely backwards. So we decided to come in here and start working on our systems day one. And we worked on those systems for almost 1 year before finally launching this business. And nobody in the industry had ever done that. And when we first told people about it, they snickered. We were at a KEMA conference, and they said, describe yourself. And I said, well, operationally, we're a data processing company. We happen to be selling electricity, and we're using direct sales as the channel to go out and get customers. But everything we do in the back office involves data, and that is a core competency. That's our crown jewel. That's what we pride ourselves in, being able to do things with nothing falling through the cracks. And people laughed at us. They said, well, what do you guys know about data processing? What do you guys know about IT? You're supposed to be in the electricity business. But we knew you had to lay a strong foundation. Because when this company started to grow, when any company starts to grow, sometimes it's too late to catch up. And we wanted to be ahead of the curve. We wanted to be proactive, not reactive. And that's how we built Ambit. After a year of working on those systems in 2006, in August, we were finally ready to get started. And we went out there and we launched the business, and things went great. We expanded up into New York, and things went great. We got into gas. Things went well there too. We expanded on to Illinois and then back across to the Northeast. And then all of a sudden in 2008, as we were really getting kind of cocky, thinking, gee, everything's going really well, we must be really smart. All of a sudden, we entered our darkest hour. And it's something that, started off with, maybe this is just a mistake, but we were getting calls from customers that said, we don't know who Ambit is, but your name is showing up on our bills. And there could always be the chance that we entered the wrong ID code and we, converted over the wrong customer to us. But soon that trickle turned into a stream and then turned into a flood in a very short amount of time of customers who were coming back to us saying, hey, we don't know who Ambit is and why are you selling us our power? And we realized we had a problem. So we collected information on all the customers who had called in complaining about Ambit being on their bill. And we quickly were able to analyze. We had an electronic DNA on every customer who's ever come in. And we can find out anything we want about their history in the past. And we were able to analyze all the customers to look for the common denominator. And what we found is that there was just a small handful of consultants who were what we then called the rogue consultants, people doing things wrong. And every one of these customers complaining had a tie back to these few consultants. So we realized these are the ones who are making all the problems happen. And we called them up, we did a quick interview. We realized right away that these were the ones who were causing all the disruptions up in New York City. So we quickly decided to terminate the consultants. That was the easy part. The harder part was, what do we do next? Do we sweep this under the rug and keep it quiet and hope it goes away and never resurfaces? Or do we go public with this at great risk? If we went public, we were new in New York. They might kick us out of that state. It might jeopardize our going into any future state. It might cause us problem in our home state of Texas where we might get kicked out. It might cause some of the great consultants that we'd already accumulated to decide they're out of here. We don't want to be associated with a company where this might happen. On the other hand, what happens if we didn't do it? It was a cancer. It was growing. We knew that if this thing continued to grow, the good people would leave us. No one wanted to risk their reputations in their hometown because of some rogue consultant somewhere else tarnishing the company, and then by association, their reputations are tarnished as well. We knew we would lose the good people, yet we would attract the bad people like flies. So we felt this is what we had to do. So we decided to send a letter out to every consultant we had all over the country and tell them in detail what had just happened. And tell them in detail about the rogue consultants. They were signing up people in an improper way. We found them, we caught them, we terminated them. You're our first line of defense. We expect you to police yourselves and to police each other and make certain that the people we bring into Ambit are following high standards. And if you ever see somebody who's not, you try to get them to stop, but if they're not going to stop, let us know about it, let us know about it regardless, and we'll make certain that it's over with. Because we don't want the rogues. We don't want bad people. We want people like yourself. We want people who want high standards. We want people who care about their reputation, the reputation of the company, and the reputation all around us. And then we decided to do something a little bit further. After sending that letter out, we decided to call up the Public Service Commission. And these are the people who could take away our license. And literally, with hearts pounding, we went through that exact story. We told them, this is what happened. You don't know us, we're new, we're from Texas. But we promise you, whenever we find people doing anything like this, we're going to get them out of the company and get them out right away. You can trust us to do that. And if you hear of people doing it, please let us know first. And we apologize for what has happened. And then we called up Con Edison. We told them the exact same story. And then nervously, we waited. What ended up happening was a surprise. Both the PSC and Con Edison called us back and said, you're the very first company to ever volunteer that information. And we really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And then we started hearing from our consultants. And they came back and said, thank you. Thanks for protecting our reputations. They sent letters, they sent emails, they sent texts. And we were blown away by the response. And then after that, we've never had problems, anything similar to that since. And the company exploded. Our growth took off. And it took off because we knew that we had good people. We knew that deterrence matters. You get the behavior you tolerate. Any parent, any teacher understands that. You allow misbehavior, you're going to get a lot of it. For deterrence to work, there has to be a high likelihood of getting caught. And if you're caught, a certainty of getting punished. And a punishment that really hurts. And in this case, the punishment that hurts is the loss of that residual stream, the loss of everything that you've worked to build so much in Ambit. But that deterrent worked. And because of that deterrent, Ambit took off. And we became the fastest growing small business, private business in America. And we were able to reach $1 billion in just under 7 years. And we'll do $1.5 billion this year. $1.5 billion in our 8th full year. Still, when we look at this, the opportunity is just unfolding. We keep telling everybody the best is yet to come, and we truly believe that. And we believe that because we have the best people. We have the best people inside of our company, and we have the best channel, bar none, anywhere else. Time and again, we see people think, oh, that's so easy. Look how straight that revenue growth is. All we have to do is be like Ambit. Just go set up a direct sales channel, and this will all happen. And time and again, we hear about it, and then suddenly those people just kind of slip away, and we don't hear about it any longer. We have something special here. We have something that no one else has ever been able to duplicate in the electricity industry, in the energy industry. We have something that is just unique because of the people that are inside Ambit. It starts with the leaders. It starts with people like Brian McClure, Lane Winston, Joey Carter, and Regina, and Phil, and all these folks who have come together to help build this organization. And that's what's going to keep us special. That's what makes this opportunity unfold. So we're excited that you're here. you're part of something that we think is really special, and it's just now getting off the ground. Heck, we're not even double digits yet. We're not 10 years old yet. It's around the corner. Maybe next year I'll have a story to tell like Chris is on the story. But we're looking forward to this weekend. We're looking forward to spending time with you, and we're looking forward to answering your questions tonight. So thank you very much. Great to have you all here. Welcome to